Welcome to the deep dive. Look, if you operate in civil construction, agriculture, or any heavy trade sector, you know the real cost isn't always the materials.
Right, it's the logistics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And fuel, well, fuel is a massive part of that. Often it's right up there with labor costs.
Absolutely.
And the challenge isn't just buying diesel in bulk, is it? It's the information gap.
Yeah.
What happens when that fuel leaves the main depot?
That's the core problem we're digging into today. We're talking small tanks, mobile fuel pods, transient workers.
Yeah, and trying to manage that without relying on, like, a shoebox full of receipts or messy log sheets.
Exactly. That gap between, spending the money and knowing precisely where it went. We've looked into the sources on the Fuellox system.
Okay.
And it's really designed to tackle the limits of those traditional bulk-focused fuel management systems. They just aren't built for today's mobile world.
Right. So our focus today is understanding key innovations here. How does this tech give you that granular, auditable data?
Yeah, how does it actually prevent theft, simplify the day-to-day operations, and maybe most importantly, unlock real financial returns? We're talking automated compliance, especially that fuel excise recovery.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. That sounds like a crucial shift for managing assets.
Well, maybe we should start with the basic problem, the scale issue. Those big incumbent systems, they're built for huge stationary depots.
30, 50,000 liter tanks, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Massive fixed tanks. And the installation cost reflects that,
Yeah.
$15,000, $25,000 typically.
Ouch. That model just doesn't work for smaller contractors, does it?
No way. So Fuellox kind of had to flip that whole idea. They needed something portable without that huge upfront cost.
Right. Flexibility must have been key.
Precisely. They focused on making it work efficiently on small tanks, the fuel pods tradesmen use, fuel trailers for construction sites, generators.
Even those smaller cubes, like 1,000 to 8,000 liters?
Yep. And because these things are often off-grid, the system's designed to be low power. It can run off a marine battery and a small solar panel.
Okay, that tackles the infrastructure headache. But what about actually getting it installed and running? Don't these systems usually need specialist technicians?
That's another area they focused on simplicity. It's largely designed for self-installation.
Really?
Yeah, you mount a flow meter, run one single wire back to the main unit, and connect the hardware to control the pump, whether it's pneumatic or electric.
One wire.
One wire run. The source material actually says it's designed to be so straightforward. Basically, if you've ever managed to wire up a car stereo.
Okay, I get the picture.
Installing Fuellox is probably simpler. You're only dealing with that single wire. It minimizes downtime and cuts out those high contractor costs.
That's a really critical point for making the ROI work for smaller guys. Okay, so the tank's set up, but then it drives off-site. How do you stop, misuse, side jobs?
Right, that's where the location tracking comes in. And it's a pretty powerful feature, maybe even a bit unique in the space. The unit tracks where the fuel is actually dispensed.
Regardless of where the tank itself is located.
Exactly.
Right.
That data point, the location when refueling happens, is often your strongest proof that the fuel was used for legitimate business.
And the sources had a good example of this, didn't they? It's
Right.
not just passive data. It actually helps change behavior.
Absolutely. The data gives managers solid ground to stand on, especially if they need to address unauthorized use, maybe even potential termination decisions. One customer, for instance, they had operators who weren't letting the location log properly, maybe trying to hide something, who knows?
Right.
So management put in a really simple, direct policy. Any fuel logged without location data, the operator pays for it out of pocket.
Wow, that's direct accountability. What happened?
The sources mentioned a very, very quick turnaround in compliance because the system provided that instant, undeniable proof.
Makes sense.
And they're apparently planning more features too, like ring fencing job sites on a map. So you could easily flag any fuel dispensing happening outside authorized zones.
Okay, so it becomes a proactive tool, not just tracking usage.
Exactly, an integrity tool.
This brings us to the next level then. We know the location's right, the user's compliant, but finance needs more, right? They need to know what job, what project used that fuel.
That brings us neatly to the project's feature. Most systems might stop at tracking the equipment or maybe the operator. This integrates project-based tracking.
So you can tag every liter dispensed to a specific activity or cost center.
Precisely. Think about agriculture maybe separating fuel for harvesting, which might be grant eligible, versus general farm maintenance.
Or in construction, allocating costs accurately to different customer jobs.
absolutely crucial for correct cost allocation and, importantly, accurate customer invoicing. You need the true cost of goods sold for that specific contract, not just some fuzzy average. Otherwise, you're just guessing at your margins.
Okay, let's talk user management. Physical fobs or tokens are often a weak link, aren't they? Lost, shared, left behind.
Yeah, a real operational headache.
How does this simplify things, especially with temporary labor hire?
Fuellox moves away from physical items entirely. It uses SMS-based authentication.
Okay, how does that work?
Add a new user in the dashboard, they instantly get a text message. It has their login details, a link to the app, super streamlined.
That does sound perfect for short-term contractors or labor hire. But what about control? Removing access quickly when someone leaves.
That's the beauty of centralized control. Someone leaves, contractor finished, one click in the dashboard, and their access is revoked instantly.
Ah, no chasing down physical fob.
Exactly. Access is tied to their phone number, and you sever that link immediately. It's far more secure and just way more efficient.
Okay, now equipment ID. We need to know which machine got the fuel. Prevent mistakes, prevent fraud.
Right. They offer two main ways to handle this, kind of balancing convenience and security. First, QR codes.
Simple scan with a phone. Yep, scan the code on the machine. It identifies the asset, logs the transaction against it, stops operators just picking the wrong machine from a list on a screen.
But the sources mention a downside to QR codes: security.
Yeah, convenience often comes at a cost. QR codes are easy to copy, photograph, photocopy. Someone could misreport fuel use if they really wanted to.
Okay, so what's the more secure option?
NFC, near-field communication.
Like tap-and-go payment systems.
Exactly like that. Secure adhesive stickers on the equipment. They're very hard to duplicate, so the operator has to be physically there, tapping a unique tag. Much higher security.
But there was another benefit to NFC mentioned, wasn't there? Something about safety.
Yes, a critical safety feature. Preventing contamination.
Ah, tell me about that.
Modern diesel engines, especially with AdBlue or DEF, are incredibly sensitive. Put the wrong fluid in the wrong tank.
Big repair bills.
Devastating ones.
Yeah.
6 figures sometimes. With NFC, you can make the labels fluid specific. A diesel tag, an AdBlue tag.
Try tapping the AdBlue tag when the system knows it's dispensing diesel. The pump just won't start. It's an automated safeguard against simple but potentially catastrophic human error.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. We've tracked the fuel, know the location, the user, the project, the specific machine, and added safety checks. What does all this amazing data mean for the accounts department? For the ledger?
This is where the real power kicks in, turning compliance from a chore into, well, an instant audit trail.
The financial impact.
That's the core value proposition, really. You get instant use summaries by equipment, operator, tank, project, cost center, all of it. But the absolute standout, automated reporting for fuel tax claims.
Right, that excise recovery. Crucial in places like Australia, Canada, the UK.
Exactly. Bulk fuel buyers have to report on-road versus off-road use to get significant money back.
And that rebate, the sources mentioned, 50.6 cents a liter off-road in Australia, that's serious money potentially left on the table because of bad records.
It is huge. And businesses really struggle with it. Manual log sheets, cross-referencing timesheets, building these massive error-prone spreadsheets for the tax office.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It often is. The financial impact breaks down two ways: saving labor and recovering lost revenue.
Okay, let's start with labor savings. How bad can the time drain be?
We saw some specific examples. One customer spending 30 hours a week, that's nearly a full-time person, just manually collating this excise data.
30 hours, wow.
With Fuellox, that report now takes about 1 second to generate. The ROI on replacing 30 hours of clerical work with a single click is pretty immediate.
Okay, that's compelling. What about the lost revenue angle? Money missed because the manual process just failed.
Even more striking, another customer, a very large one, was found to be missing around $30,000 every single month.
$30,000 a month.
In fuel tax recovery, they were entitled to, but their manual processes were either failing or they just didn't trust the data enough to claim it all. For them, the entire system paid for itself in about 6 weeks, just from that recovered excise.
That really puts it in perspective. It ties into that idea, you have to maximize every legal financial benefit, like that Kerry Packer quote.
If anybody in this country doesn't minimize their tax, they want their heads read.
Right. If you're not claiming these credits properly, you're essentially just giving money away.
That's the core takeaway. So many companies are running on imagined information, relying on log sheets that probably wouldn't stand up to a proper audit.
Which means either compliance risk or just leaving thousands, maybe tens of thousands, unclaimed.
This system turns that risk and that huge labor cost into guaranteed instant revenue recovery.
And compliance isn't just financial anymore, is it? Environmental reporting is becoming huge.
That's definitely the next frontier. The system already generates carbon reports based on fuel burn, and they're actively developing capabilities to profile that carbon intensity, more specifically against projects, types of equipment, different regions. This kind of detailed data is becoming non-negotiable for bigger contracts, especially with councils or Tier 1 contractors.
Let's loop back then, connect this to the big picture cost management you mentioned earlier. That contrast between how businesses track labor versus fuel.
Yeah, it's a really stark disconnect, isn't it? In industries like civil construction, fuel and labor can easily be 80% or more of your revenue costs.
80%.
Think how carefully labor is tracked. Timesheets down to the minute, award rates, pay levels, leave loading, superannuation. Complex payroll software handles all that intricacy.
Meticulously tracked. And fuel, their second biggest expense.
Often it really is just that shoebox full of receipts or some patchy log sheets. The imbalance is staggering. It points to a gap in operational maturity, maybe.
Fair point.
The simple principle holds. You can't manage what you don't measure. If you're that rigorous about every minute of labor, it just doesn't make financial sense to rely on guesswork for the fuel that powers that labor.
Okay, so wrapping up, the key takeaways for you listening. Fuellox seems to really hit three main points. One, managing fuel effectively across those mobile, smaller assets where old systems fail.
Right. Two, securing access properly using instant SMS for users, and that secure NFC for equipment ID.
And three, automating those huge compliance burdens like fuel tax claims and carbon reporting, turning, 30 hours of manual work into a 1-second digital report.
Look, if your business tracks every single hour of labor meticulously, and it probably does because that's your biggest cost, then you are almost certainly leaving money on the table if you're not applying that same instant data rigor to fuel. Think about the hitting cost, the compounding cost of that information gap over a whole year. Then ask yourself, if a digital system like this can pay for itself in maybe 2 months just from recovered excise, what's the real ongoing cost of sticking with the old way?